Oh, it's Friday. It's nearly 8 o'clock here in the UK, which means it'll be about 3 o'clock over in New York City when my boy Steve is joining me today. Welcome to the Golden Goose.
The Golden Goose.
This is it. Normally just write a little article for this segment that I do for MMA UK. But I thought it'd be pretty cool to come on here tonight. We're going to break down the main card for UFC 294 that we have on Saturday. We're not going to do the whole card because I think we've got 12 or 13 fights lined up for Saturday, and Steve's got to get back to work, and I'm tired, so you're just going to have to accept what we got tonight. But yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Let's just get right into it, Steve. I think.
Yeah.
So kicking off tomorrow's card in UAE, we've got someone whose name straight away will make the casual fan think, oh, he's going to win because he happens to have the name Nurmagomedov.
Right.
So we got Saeed Nurmagomedov going up against Gafarov. Now, this fight opened at a betting line. I've obviously made some notes, but opened up at a betting line of, I think Nurmagomedov was minus 185 to win this fight, and he's gone like right out to a price at the minute of about minus 225, I think. Now, to me, this isn't Khabib against Gafarov.
Oh.
I think this line's way off. Because to me, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to recommend that people instantly go out and after this breakdown and say, stick your rent on Gafarov to win. I kind of expect Nurmagomedov will get it done. But I think the price is way off. And if I was going to have a bet on this fight, at the moment, you can get about plus 187 on Gafarov to win. And to me, on that price, basically, Nurmagomedov, like you said before, he isn't Khabib. He does have excellent wrestling. He's a good wrestler. But he's not all that fancy on the feet. He's got some slick submissions. I think he's won 2 out of his last 3 with a guillotine choke. But Gafarov is just such a live dog in this fight, simply because, okay, if it turns into a complete wrestling match, he's at a significant disadvantage. But on striking, not just in the stand-up, where he has an advantage in completely, Gafarov carries ridiculous power, like ridiculous one-shot knockout, good night, see you later power. He's not coming in as some, guy with no experience either. He's been around combat sports for a long time. He's fought obviously in the UFC, but he's also fought in like one championship and other promotions. So he's not going to be particularly daunted about opening up a main card. So yeah, for me, Steve, and obviously I don't know about yourself, but I'm in fact, fuck it. I'm not saying anyone should bet on this fight, because if you are going to bet, you want to make sure you're gambling responsibly. But for me, a pure pick, and it isn't just because I'm not a huge fan of the wrestling background of the Nurmagomedovs and what have you. I really like Gafarov in this fight. If I was going to bet on this line, I'd definitely take the plus money. And actually, I really like it. I haven't been just overly impressed with, Saeed Nurmagomedov. He's good, but he's not. For me, he's never going to be a top 5 fighter for the UFC. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, for me,
No.
I'll take Gafarov, and I'll even take that he lands something heavy and knocks him out. Open the main card.
Well,
What about
you also
yourself?
Yeah, no, I was gonna go with the same thing, right? Because I looked up the regular stats, and the regular stats shows Goforov 10 knockouts, 7 subs, 14 knockouts were in the first round. He has an overall of 18 wins versus Saeed's 17 wins, and Saeed only has 4 knockouts. Um, so I don't know where these odds came from. Not only that, although they both lost their last fights.
Yeah.
They both did. So I'm really going. It's weird looking at the odds, but I'm going the same way. I'm gonna go with Gafarov. Because I don't understand the odds. If you look at the stats and what we got here, yeah, I definitely will be going with Gafarov.
Yeah, I think, man, and I love the stats, man. I mean, it's perfect. We complement each other so well. I love the fact that you've got the stats there. I do have some, but I am. Don't get me wrong. I love stats, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be a stats guy. I just, I sometimes I just get a bit of a feel and experience. And the great thing is when you've got the stats and somebody else can talk about them to let people know, that works great for what we've just done tonight, which all started from a DM last night. So to anybody watching or listening, we've both got experience at breaking down fights and making picks, but we just threw this together for a bit of fun last night, really. But anyway, let's move on. Second fight up on the card.
I'm gonna let you say the names.
Oh man, really? I was going to say I'm going to let Steve go first. You see, obviously, Wally Alves is easy, not a problem. But I'm not even going to try and say Alexakov's first name, so I'm just going to go with Alexakov. Don't get me wrong. When I talk about that, when I talk about later on names, when I talk about one of my bets on the prelim portion of the card, I'm not even going to try and say his full name. I'm just going to say how I see it. But yeah, I mean, obviously we've got a lot of Eastern European fighters on the card, and it does tend to always be that way when we're in Dubai or I'll just take a drink before I can't talk. Yeah. Now, this fight again. Don't get me wrong. I think Alexakov should be a big favourite, and he should win. I'm not. It's not like the last fight where I wouldn't take Alexakov. But Alexakov started I've had a little look on not on the stats, but on the movement of the line on the odds. Start of the week, Alexakov was a -430 favourite. So even then, I'd gone, okay, -400, -350, I can sort of take. Since money has come on here in the UK, the bookmakers here. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll know, obviously, checking the bookies there, it won't differ too much. I've got him as wide as -600 now. Ooh. So I'm like, I mean, is he even worth parlaying? Don't get me wrong, he probably 9 out of 10 times he wins this fight. But to break down the fight again, in fact, we've said the names. I'm going to let you do your bit first, and then I'll do my. You can go first this time.
Yeah. Look, the odds are out there. Look, I'm gonna go with Ikram, right? Yep. I'm gonna go with Ikram. He's ranked. The stats are better. The odds are showing different on our end over here, but I'm still gonna go with Ikram. He has, I think, a more grounded game, more rounded game than Alves. Alves is coming in. It seems to be his main discipline is kickboxer. I'm going with Ikram. That's it, hands down. I think it's guaranteed money. Guaranteed.
I love it. I love the optimism. And to be fair, I can't disagree with you at all. I think what obviously I've always tried to do with the Golden Goose section is try and find some form of value in the fight. Again, it's not something I'm probably going to. I think it is guaranteed money on the money line but I think that obviously the risk incurred $600 to win 100. You know,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you could parlay it, but so I started to have a look a little bit at the prop market, and I absolutely expect Alexakov to win this fight. And I think if you're going to look for value in it, I think you're right. I think, Alvarez has lost 2 of his last 3 fights. He's coming off a knockout to Jemiah Wells. He does have some slick submissions and some good ground game. But I think Alexakov's just going to run through him. And I don't know if it'll be the first round, so I've sort of shied away from that. I think the toss-up is whether he gets the KO or whether he gets the sub. He definitely gets the finish. So I've kind of looked at Alvarez is pretty capable in the submission department. He's probably going to have a better idea. He has been submitted before, but he's going to have a better idea of what to look out for. And what it's made me do, basically, if you want the best bet for that fight, for me personally, and I probably will bet this, I'd go Alexakov by KO. I have got the odds. I will have to look for them. So I apologise for my tardiness in that department, everybody. But yeah, so at the moment, live price at present, if my betting app would load, you can get plus 140 on the knockout. The reason it's that good a price is because the bookies are very much the same. They are unsure. They know the finish is going to come, but they're unsure if it's going to be submission or KO. Submission you can get plus 175 on. If you really want to go for it, you can go plus 400 on the decision, but there's no way. I'd even be shocked if this goes past the second round. So yeah, lock me in plus 140. Alexakov by TKO. And let's keep the trend. Let's just keep the train moving. Next up, fight I really like. Fight I'm really intrigued about.
Are we going to talk about the light heavyweights?
See, this is the thing. You've got 2 guys, light heavyweights, and let's face it, they're both really. They could fucking go at heavyweight if they wanted. But yeah, love this fight, man. Ankalaev against Johnny Walker. I've been back and forth on this one all week. Obviously, we know the history of Ankalaev. Let's rewind the tape to the Blachowicz fight. For this reporter, he was on the end of a really rough decision. I scored it for him. I think he should be the champ, really. He's not my favorite fighter in his style all the time. I think sometimes he's quite hard to get a read on in regards how his fight's going to play out, because sometimes he can just try and lean on you and wrestle and try and rub you up against the cage.
Grind it out.
Other times, you can see him, use a bit more of his striking, and and he's got legit ground and pound. He sort of frustrates me, but I think he's a fantastic fighter. Johnny Walker, obviously, in the other corner. Love Johnny. Even though Johnny's, I think, got 2 finishes in his last 3, he's riding a 3-fight win streak. He has changed a little bit as a fighter from the Johnny Walker we used to know and love, who first came on the scene, who was doing ridiculous things like the worm in the middle of the octagon and popping his shoulder out of joint.
Wait, did you not see that he almost got injured this morning? Come on, you didn't see?
I haven't.
You did not.
No, you see, some of us, no, bro. I've been at work with no access to anything that's really gone on today, bar from a quick flick through Twitter. So you will have to fill me in. In fact, you'll have to tell everybody the possible. What's happened this morning?
So this morning, Walker was being the classic Walker, and he's going up the little steps for the ceremonial weigh-in. He actually almost fell on his face. He tripped and almost fell on his face. And I said, "Oh my gosh, the shoulder's gonna go again. The shoulder somehow is gonna go again." No, it was safe. It was safe. It was safe. He caught himself. Got on the scale.
You see, it's that sort of thing that you've got to love about Johnny Walker.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I mean, I'll be honest, if anyone expected to tune into this preview show and see a more serious side of journalism, I do serious journalism as well, but tonight's just all about having fun. So no disrespect to the fighters involved.
It cannot be a serious one when you have Johnny Walker on the card. It can't.
That's the thing. You know, I love Johnny Walker. I don't particularly maybe think he's going to win this fight, but I am a bit flip-flop on it. I think, and I'll go first because obviously I think you've probably got maybe a different take on it. This isn't a fight that in a straight pick, I'd take Ankalaev. I think he will. How I think this fight plays out, I think what Ankalaev will do is he'll do one of the two things we've said. I think he'll try and weigh on Johnny. I think he'll try and grind on him. I think he'll try and keep hold of him, keep him on the cage, and expect him to possibly win a decision. I think some people are possibly thinking that Ankalaev might come in, just annihilate him, take him down, ground and pound KO. I don't see that happening. So my straight up pick would be Ankalaev. But after you've sort of mentioned yours, from a betting angle, I have a completely different pick. So
all right. So what's the final pick? What is your final pick?
I think we just lost connection briefly. Are you all right?
No, we're good. You got it?
We're good?
We good?
Yeah, we got it, bro.
Yeah.
Right. I'd say I'd edit that out, but instead people can just have a bit of a laugh at it. So yeah, straight pick, I'd take Ankalaev, but I do have a bit of a different betting angle that I probably am going to bet on with this fight. But yeah, what have you got? How do you see this one playing out?
So we always talk about MMA math, and we talk about recent biases, right? The most recent thing in your mind, and the most recent thing in my mind is we do have Ankalaev in a 5-round fight against John Blachowicz, and it was boring. To me, it was boring.
Yeah.
You had Ankalaev not adjusting to John's leg kicks, where Ankalaev's legs were done. And I think that's what happened when it came down to the decision. You're fighting for a vacant light heavyweight belt. They both, I believe, should have done more. But I'm going with Johnny Walker with a finish. I'm going Johnny Walker with a finish. If it goes to the decision, it could go Ankalaev. But my pick is going to be Walker by decision. The other thing is like you said, right? Ankalaev could grind this out to a decision because his cardio is going to outlast Walker.
Yeah.
His cardio is definitely going to outlast Walker.
Yeah. I mean, people will have seen my face when you on the pick there. Johnny Walker by KO, by stoppage. I love it. I love it, mate.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's ballsy.
I really don't think I see his how he's doing this fight week, how he's acting, which is normal, but it just seems like it feels like he's gonna come in, he's not gonna waste time filling anything out. And if he comes out as classic Johnny in the first round, Ankalaev is gonna sit back. Ankalaev, I believe, is gonna sit back. He's gonna might have something, maybe take some time. Johnny Walker is not. I don't think Johnny Walker is gonna come in. I think he knows that Ankalaev could go 5 rounds or more. His last fight was 5 rounds. So this is a 3-round fight. As far as Walker grinding it out and making it to a decision, he probably knows in his mind that it will go to Ankalaev. So I think Walker's going to come in. He's going to come in strong. He's not going to waste any time and go for the stoppage in the first round.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. And it plus 600. I've just checked. You can get plus 600 on a Johnny Walker win via knockout, which is tasty, which is nice.
Sounds good. It all sounds good.
Yeah, bro. It sounds good. I mean, you see, I think there is. I think that, like, again, the odds for me on this fight are way off. I mean, it isn't as bad as some of the movement on some of the other fights on the card. It has moved slightly, but in Ankalaev's favour. But I think what people think of when you think of Johnny Walker is everyone tends to remember the sort of knockout artist that came on the scene, but that also left his chin quite high. But the great thing about Walker is I think John Kavanagh at SBG's done a great job with him, to the point of he has improved his defense. And Johnny's always still going to have pop in his hands. Now, you've sort of sold me a little bit on the knockout, but what my actual route for Johnny kind of, which is making me think about just betting Johnny at plus 240 to win, regardless of the method, is because Johnny only has so much in the tank, but he has been to decisions with Santos, for instance, of like Santos can bang. And he was quite educated in that fight. I mean, arguably some people say he didn't win that fight, but that's MMA. The price on Johnny Walker to win by decision that I saw and liked was plus 800. Now, the only reason for me on that is I think Johnny can come out and potentially win the first round at least, possibly the first 2 rounds. But what my thinking was if he comes out, wins the first round, obviously second round might be a toss-up. If it manages to get to the judges' cards, which with Ankalaev, I think tactics-wise here, is a good, distinct possibility. Again, factoring in some of the decisions we've had of late, I'm not saying Johnny will get like a gift victory, but if it's close, right, what would I rather have? Ankalaev by decision, which without looking, I'm not sure what it is, but it's not plus 800. In a close fight, if it goes 3 rounds, what would I rather have? The plus maybe 150, 200 on Ankalaev, or plus 800 on Johnny Walker? And I was like, it isn't out of the realms of possibility that this could go 3 rounds. Obviously, it's plus 800 for a reason.
Yeah,
I think the under 2.5 rounds on this fight will be in the negatives numbers. It's not expected to go the distance, I wouldn't think. But yeah, I like the Johnny Walker KO. I like the Johnny Walker decision. I certainly won't be betting Ankalaev in this fight. I do think I'm not going to try jump on the bandwagon of you. You have sold me on the stat on what you said. I do think Ankalaev will find a way to get it done. It'll probably be horrible and ugly how he does it, but I do think he'll probably win. But from a betting point of view, if I do have a bet on that fight, it will be on Johnny Walker by KO at plus 600 or Johnny Walker by decision at plus 8.
That's juicy. There you go.
This is it, man. This is it.
But the other thing that we have to remember is Ankalaev coming in with a chip on his shoulder, right?
Oh,
You
just a
have
bit.
you have to coming in with all this storylines coming together. He finally gets the spot. He goes into a 5 round fight where his legs were just demolished, and you got a draw. He went to 5 rounds, got a draw. People criticized the fight on both fighters. And on the flip side, you have Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's last fight was by decision against Anthony Smith, where wonderful Lionheart Smith was screaming at Johnny Walker the whole time, which is hilarious. But it still was a decision. Johnny Walker went into a fight against Anthony Smith, and he still got a decision. Is he coming in? It's like, I don't want a decision. I want to get out of here soon. I want to get out of here quick. I don't want another decision under my belt.
Johnny, again, I can see that side of it. I think you've, like you say, hit the nail on the head. Ankalaev's coming in with a massive chip on his shoulder, going back however many months now, several months, shall we say. I mean, he was saying he was never going to fight for the UFC again after this career. You know, don't get me wrong. If I was to say this to him to his face, I'm not being a keyboard warrior here. I'd say it with a megaphone from about 100 miles away. But let's face it, it wasn't a terrible decision. It was maybe a hard one to take for him. But talk about chucking your toys out your pram. Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
not going to fight for the UFC. I won't fight in America again. I won't fight. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, in the heat of the moment, I get it. But yeah, I mean, it could work the other way for him. You know, he could come with a massive chip on his shoulder, come out swinging, and knock Johnny Walker out in 30 seconds. I don't think he will. I don't think that is a distinct possibility. But who knows? Who knows which way it's going to go, bro? Main thing.
Look,
Go.
the other side.
Go.
The other side of it is Uncle Live could come in with mentally distraught with the legs.
Oh,
What if he comes in and he goes, I want to protect my legs in this fight? I'm taking this guy to the ground. Because you got to
yeah.
remember, Johnny Walker has how long of a reach? How long are his legs? His legs are massive.
Yeah.
His legs are
Yeah.
massive. But I hope he doesn't think that Johnny Walker is a slouch on the ground, because Johnny Walker has improved on his ground game.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, I think
definitely.
it'll be very interesting to see the mindset once they step into the cage and what's going to be the game plan. Because look, Walker could come in knowing about the legs, and Walker could come in right away, hit his leg. Once that happens, Ankalaev's mind is like, oh no, retreat, retreat, and he's going to go back. This fight definitely could go either way, but going full circle, I'm still going to stick with Johnny Walker. But there are a lot of things to consider with both fighters.
Yeah, love it. I think it's a good pick. Like I say, mate, it's definitely another fight for me on the card that the odds are too wide, and we could talk about that obviously for a lot longer. But yeah, I love it, man. I love the pick. In fact, you like I say, you're more and more selling me on Johnny Walker for it. As long as he's not, as long
disclaimer,
as he's, as long as he's not
disclaimer, I cannot. As long as he's not injured.
Yeah, as long as he's not, you know, he doesn't have an accident on the way to the octagon or
Oh
something.
my god!
You know, or
really
sometime this evening somehow. But gotta love Johnny. Moving on. I mean, it's been a crazy build-up. Getting to the co-main and main event of this card, as everybody who is remotely interested in MMA will know only too well. Before we get into Khamzat the Usman, you know, I don't know about you, mate, but when the fights dropped out and we got obviously the main event changed, that was amazing. I was like, great, you know,
yeah,
because I thought, shit, who's going to step in on short notice against Makhachev? But when the Costa Khamzat fight dropped out, I was like, what the fuck? I was just like, I was like, I think I even said to someone on Twitter, maybe they could like, I don't think they can get anybody even remotely decent to step in against Khamzat on this short notice. And I you know, And then all of a sudden, these rumors about potential replacements came in, and obviously Usman was announced as a replacement. So the build up to this card's been crazy. But
It's huge.
I don't know about you. I actually think we have a better co-main and main event than we did. And amazingly, I actually think that the two fights now. I expected Khamzat, to be honest, to pretty much run through Costa.
Interesting.
Amazing considering where we were 10 or 11 days ago.
Yeah.
For me.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. I don't know if you follow the undefeated great Uncle Chael Sonnen.
Love Chael, yeah.
Yeah, so both the main event and co-main event, they felt funny. They felt weird. They was both just there and did it felt what he said is what I thought, where Chael Sonnen went ahead and said, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. You have Paul Costa and you have Hamza. They're too quiet. There's no build up. The only thing we have is what happened at the UFC PI, where they had that confrontation with each other. All of that, they signed the contract, and then there's silence. Nobody says nothing at all, at all. So even Chael Sonnen said what I was thinking, where it doesn't feel right. And we'll get to the main event, but the main event was very similar. Chael Sonnen from the start said, I'll bet you everything that Oliveira is not going to show up to that fight. He said it 3 times, and the 3 times he said that he doesn't want to fight Islam. And he said it all the way. I mean, Chael was like, I don't have a magic wall, because everybody went right after Chael Sonnen when Oliveira was pulled out because this, that, and the third. And Chael, and we all went to Chael, including me. He's like, how did you know? But at the end of the day, they both felt weird. But now we're going back, and it feels like it is a better co-main event and main event. It was very surprising. These last minute feelings. It feels like that wonderful card where there was conspiracy when Kevin Holland, he had Diaz, and we're back at it again because it feels better. Just feels better.
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I love Chael. I mean, let's face it, he does say some outspoken things. He always has.
Absolutely.
I do agree with him on the Khamzat Costa fight completely. I think when that was announced, I probably did tweet various people or went on a post by the UFC, ESPN, or whoever, and been like, I'll believe it when I see them both in the cage. I never expected that fight to come to fruition, and was obviously I think a lot of people felt like that. Now, in regards to the Makhachev Oliveira fight, I don't quite see it the same as Chael. Mainly as well because people on Twitter already know Charlie Olives is my boy, and I'm a massive fan. So maybe I could have a biased view, but I don't believe he was scared to fight Makhachev again. I don't particularly believe that at all, but I do think I don't think the result would have been any different. I don't think Makhachev maybe would have subbed him again, and it would have been quite as early. I do think Makhachev would have won. I think unfortunately Oliveira is a great fighter, elite, absolute world level. Nothing but good things to say about him. He's my boy. I think he's brilliant from where he was to where he went. But I just think in Makhachev, I think what I mean is, like, I feel like Oliveira I think he thought that he wasn't at his best when he first fought him, and he possibly wasn't quite at his best. But I think he almost has a little bit of delusion that if he is slightly better, that he can beat Makhachev. And as much as it pains me to say it, Makhachev is just a better fighter. And I think 10 times out of 10, if Oliveira's at 100% and Makhachev's at 100%, I think Makhachev wins. I just think he's a better fighter.
I'm gonna give a call. I'm gonna give a call to Charles.
Yeah. Oh, don't, Charles. If you somehow see this, I love you. I can even get a T-shirt out of my drawer with your name on. But I just think it 155. Makhachev's bigger. He's got just such a ridiculous ground game. He does hit harder than people give him credit for. And yeah, like I said, he's not the most entertaining personality-wise, but he is one of the top 2-3 fighters in the world. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But let's get into this co-main. Do you want to shoot? And do you want first? Yeah.
I don't know what to say. No, this is a terrifying choice to make if you betting on the fight. I'll tell you that. It's terrifying because there are how many factors? I mean, there's a gazillion factors that we could go into as to this and the third. From this is going to be Usman's debut in the UFC at 185. Not only that, he's going to end up facing Hamza. You know, and not only that, you already know what happened. You saw the open workouts. We're all talking about it. The rumors are out, where so much so that Usman had a response to everyone talking about his wonderful knees. My knees are fine. I did not say that on the video. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. If you're putting money on this fight, to say all jokes aside, safely, it's my opinion. This is solely my opinion. If you're gonna put money on the fight safely, you're gonna go with the bigger, stronger, younger person that's on his prime right now, which would be Hamza, right? Me personally, as a fan, as me picking, my choice will be Usman. That's just me. He's a veteran, but again, that's me being a big fan, and either way, I'm not putting any money down. So I am going with Usman. But it's scary. But Usman has become so well-rounded, well-rounded, and he's done nothing but 5-round fights. Very well-rounded. He's faced hard hitters. He's faced wrestlers. You know, now Hamza is a whole different animal. I get that. But Hamza gas tank is good, but he could slow down, right? Usman makes it out the first round. How's that going to look, right? If Usman makes it out the first round against Hamza, I think hands down, Usman wins the fight. I don't care how, but Usman will win the fight.
Yeah.
What about you? I need to hear this. I need to hear what you're going with. Who you
see, I knew before I did this preview and picks, and I thought, now if I'd write this in an article, my picks are probably going to get some hate anyway. But you see, it's a bit like what we were talking about with Oliveira. In this, I am taking complete any favoritism out of my pick, because I've always been an Usman fan, even when it was edgy and trendy on Twitter to dislike the guy. I mean, he's getting more love now that he's losing, shall we say? But in MMA, we have these moments occasionally where the one that always springs to mind recently for me was like when John Jones submitted Garn in 30 odd seconds or whatever, and he's come back, and you just get these times where all of a sudden there's like a bit of a what the fuck just happened moment. And anyway, breakdown wise, I think you hit the nail on the head in the fact that, you know, Usman's taking the fight on short notice. He's definitely got some wear and tear. The knees are questionable. But again, it comes down to, I think the size of Khamzat's going to be a factor. I think he's going to be a bigger man on the night. In Khamzat's last fight against Gilbert Burns, I thought that was just a war. But
that was fun.
And arguably, you know, could say lost the fight.
Yes.
But up at middleweight and Usman coming up to middleweight, I don't know. I'm beating around the bush. I'm just gonna say it. I think Khamzat's going to absolutely run through him, and I think we're going. Honestly, I think the UFC are pretty clever, as we know. They sort of position people who they want to be stars into positions. Obviously, who knows what happened with the Costa carry on, but you know, and I'll get some hate for this. They're almost doing a little bit with some of the other fighters. For an example, would be Paddy Pimblett with Tony Ferguson.
Oh,
I'm not by anywhere mean shape or form saying that Usman is on the same sort of streak as Tony Ferguson. Love Tony, massive love for him, huge. Hope he knocks Pimblett the fuck out. But I don't dislike Paddy. I just love Ferguson. I just think that the UFC have positioned Khamzat and they're very, very high on him. And I think everything is in his favour. Absolutely everything is in his favour. I do agree with you. I think if it goes past the first half of the fight, I think that's when, even though people will say straight away, oh, Usman's coming off the couch, his cardio is going to be compromised. It isn't, to a degree, because this is Kamaru Usman. The guy's in shape year round. He's not out partying, you know, doing shoeies with Taito Abasa in the early hours every evening.
That we know of.
But he'll be, you know, Usman will be on point for this fight, and I'm sure the move to middleweight will help him in the fact of, you know, he doesn't have to deplete his body. But I just think sometimes the stars align to a certain position. And I think, I'm not saying on purpose, but I think things have kind of aligned for Khamzat in this fight. He's getting a guy who is an absolute one of the best fighters that we've had in the last decade. You know, for me, let's face it, you know, his run at 170 was absolutely unbelievable. And if it wasn't from the head kick heard around the world from Leon Edwards, then he'd still be the champ. So yeah, from a betting point of view, I don't even really think there's much value in taking Khamzat outright. I think he's out to about -320 now.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to have a bet on the money line, Usman's a great play. I am going to bet this fight, and I'm going to bet Khamzat via submission. And like I say, people might think I'm a bit mental. The bookmakers don't, because it's only +300, which is bigger than Khamzat, which is a bigger price than Khamzat to win by a knockout. But I mean, a smart bet might be, you know, Khamzat on decision. But I just don't think this is going the distance. I just call it a hunch, call it a conspiracy theory about the stars aligning and what have you. But I just think Khamzat's going to come out, and I think we're going to see him do things to Kamaru Usman that we've never seen done. And I hate to say that because I'm a massive Usman fan, but yeah, that as you know, some people might agree. Who knows? But yeah, that's my take. That's going to be my play. So, but it's going to be quite a win-win, because if Khamzat wins, I might make some dough. But if Usman wins, I'd be happy, because you know, it'll prove. I wouldn't say I'm a doubter. I don't think he's washed by any means. I just think the way the build up to this card's gone. Call it my belief in a higher power and everything else. I don't know. I just think that's the take. So people can always come at me in the comments and, you know, call me a wanker. But there you go. So, but yeah, bro. Do you think I'm crazy?
No, not at all. Not at all. But look, I think we're both on the same boat when it comes to this. Our hearts want to go to Usman, but we have that feeling that Hamza is going to do the same thing that Hamza did to who? To Holland. I mean, his last fight was what? Holland, and talk about steamrolling someone. Hamza he ragdoll Kevin Holland.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
That was vicious.
I mean, he does. And Holland's no slouch. I mean, I don't think. Obviously, Kevin Holland hasn't got the ground game that Kamaru Usman's got, but
No.
I don't think it'll be quick. I just think at some point in either late in the first or in the second round, he's just going to get it done. Like I say, I don't know, but yeah, it's and the amount I'm talking and gassing, I'm drinking fluids, like my throat's just like a mess.
Oh, bro, you got to be well. We're almost at fight night. We're almost there.
Oh, I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. And speaking of pumped, let's get it. Let's
the main event.
The main
Are we
event.
talking the main event? Main event time. All
Main
right, you want to do first? God, you got to do first.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I cannot say I cannot put into words how much I want Volkanovski to win this fight. I love Volkanovski. The guy has balls on him the size of planet Earth. I mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I wouldn't take a fight with one of the local boxers on 10 days' notice. I mean, admittedly, I'm not a fighter, but so this guy, I mean, how can you not love Volkanovski? Everything, even before this, how can you not love Volkanovski? I remember when he first fought Max Holloway, and I love Max Holloway. You'll get all the people going, well, he beat Max Holloway. But in the record books, he won the fight. And it wasn't some sort of robbery. It was close. I'm not even going to get into that. I remember saying to people, Volkanovski's going to win. And they were like, nah, Holloway's just going to be piecing him out. He's too much. And don't get me wrong, there was people out there who thought Volkanovski was going to win as well. Most of them were probably Australian. But I'd always followed him because what amazed me with him was he's past being a rugby player. And the guy used to weigh like 230 pounds or something stupid. But anyway, back to main event. But like I said, I love Volkanovski. To me, he is pound for pound number one for what he's done, for what he's achieved. I think and overall, as a person, it shouldn't come into it in the pound for pound thing, but I just think the guy is, for the UFC, if you want a guy who can be your poster boy as such, your number one guy, he isn't totally clean cut, but at the same time, he's not going to be, caught out like John Jones, doing cocaine in nightclubs, or McGregor beating up beating up pensioners in pubs and stuff. He's just great. But unfortunately,
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
For
I was
everybody
waiting.
watching,
Go ahead.
we're not going to see anything different. In fact, the price even now on Makhachev at -250 at £155.
Yeah.
Is still a great price. And now here's why. The first fight was was a close call. I can see why people thought Volkanovski won. But for me, Makhachev won the fight, and it was close. I scored it for Makhachev. Volk, the love we have for Volk as fans, and it got me on the night I watched it. When it went to the cards, I'm like, Volk's got this. He's got it. He's got this fight. If you watch the fight back, he never really, he landed some great shots. He landed some clean shots. Makhachev's face looked the worst. Makhachev was never really in trouble. He didn't have him close to being knocked out. He didn't. All right, he had his back at one point, and he things like that. But we're not going to see anything different. Volkanovski's coming in off 10 days' notice. Massive credit to him. Amazing.
Yeah.
But the only way he wins on Saturday night is by stopping Makhachev. He isn't going to get, if he can't get a close fight decision in Australia, he's not going to get one there.
No.
And I'm not saying that that's corruption. It's just the fans, the crowd. It will be, I would think, not a completely pro-Islam crowd. Volkanovski will have supporters. He will have fans because he's such a likable character. But I actually think, again, I don't think it's going to be a massive wow moment, but I won't even be surprised if going into rounds 4 and 5, Makhachev gets the stoppage. As much as people say the cardio is going to be an issue, if this was a 3-round fight, I don't think the cardio is an issue. If you watch the first fight, Volkanovski came more into it in the mid rounds of the fight. If it was a 3-round fight, Volkanovski could come out. I think he could keep the pace for 3 rounds. Going 5 rounds, I just aren't sure he can do it. I just think, again, it's another one where even in the first fight, everything was in Makhachev's favour, apart from the fact that it was in Australia. He's the bigger man. He has, I think because people dislike Islam Makhachev so much, they get away from the fact that this guy is a phenomenal fighter. And I am a fan at all of his persona or anything. He's not interested. Let's face it. The guy to talk to is like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
But take all that out of it. This guy is a savage. He is an absolute killer. You don't submit Charles Oliveira, going back to what we said before, in that that quick. You don't dominate people like he has. I can't really remember a fight, since he's become Islam Makhachev in the UFC and grown as a fighter, where he's been in any kind of trouble. When he's been in with elite fighters. And as much as I love Volkanovski, love him to bits, for me, at 145, I'm not saying he won't move up to 155 and win the title at some point, but if he does, it will be when Islam Makhachev is not fighting at 155. So I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah,
I'm taking all emotion out of it. I'm going Makhachev, and I won't be betting this fight because I absolutely hope Volkanovski pulls it off. But if you do want to bet on this fight, I wouldn't go even on method. I still think the minus 250 is a great price. Go with that. But I'm sort of staying away from even the betting angle on this fight because Volkanovski is one of my favourite fighters, and like I say, I hope he wins. So with a heavy heart, yeah, Makhachev, possibly even by stoppage.
This is so hard, I think it would be easier if we knew that this was a full camp for Volkanovski and that Islam knew this was like everything was properly done. It would be a completely different thing. We're talking about a guy that took this in 11 days notice. He just cut 26 pounds. Okay, he cut 26 pounds. The guy landed over there at 180 something pounds, 180. He cut. The guy made weight at 154 pounds, 154 and a half. It's massive, and I think that would account for something, which is why also there's two reasons Volkanovski, I think, is saying that he's going to finish him in round one. And to be honest, I think the cut is going to affect his cardio. And not only that, he has something to prove, right? You have this controversial first fight. He wants to end those conversations. He doesn't want to go to decision. Not only that, the other reason I think is Volk. I don't think he could pull off 5 rounds. I don't think he could pull off all 5 rounds. I don't. I'll be worried if this goes past 3 rounds. If they're fighting and it goes past 3 rounds, I don't know how Volk is going to look. He is a gamer. His mental is 10,000% just pure strength. It's a force field that's there, but physically, you are in there and whatever notice you got, and you're talking about your body just cut 26 pounds. So physically, he might be able. These are one of the things where I think Volk's mind is wants to do everything at 1,000, and his body is going to be like, bro, we were just at 180 something pounds. I don't know. It's crazy. Go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is I think I completely agree. I completely agree with you. I think I obviously didn't mention the weight cut purely because I was just obviously beeping me just babbling on about other reasons, but I think it's super valid. Super valid.
The other thing is, by the way, my pick is Alex. I don't care. So I don't care. I'm not putting money. I'm going with Alex all the way. But the other thing for Islam is also taking a short notice fight. We have to remember, Islam got into a fight with Volkanovski thinking that he was going to beat Volk with a snap of the finger. He got into a fight that was harder than he expected with Volkanovski. That was the hardest fight he's been in. You also got to look at his resume. His resume doesn't shine the amount of fighters like Volk. Look at Volk's resume. Look at Islam's resume. The last couple of names. What we have? Bobby Green. We have Drew Dober. All right. The biggest name that this man has is Oliveira. And that's just a fact. And Oliveira, by the way, before that was much more active than Islam, I feel. And not only that, not more active. Oliveira fought bigger caliber names at 155. Oliveira just ran through Dustin. He just ran through Justin. He ran through all these people, finishing them all, and then you run into Islam. Islam, again, what we talking about? Bobby Green, Drew Dober, love those guys, but come on, compared to what Volk has fought, compared to what Oliveira has fought, mentally, he accepted this fight in short notice, but that was definitely will be in the back of his mind. And also, when you're eager to prove something, so you have 2 things. One, you're going back to one of the hardest fights you had, which is Volk. You're going back to him. 2, now you're eager on your turf, to prove something. That could also lead to bad decisions where you might get caught by Volkanovski, because Volkanovski also is coming out eager and want to finish this fight as soon as possible.
Yeah. I mean that's what's been great about talking to you tonight in general, because I think these sort of things are really like can be really boring, especially if you get two guys who completely agree, especially on the bigger fights. And I think you're completely valid. I think I know earlier on I said, Makhachev has fought elite fighters. What I mean by that is he's fought in the UFC for a while now, and the UFC is supposed to be the elite competition. But just to come back to what you said, I do agree. He hasn't been in with the upper echelon of the UFC fighters, and I think as a fan, that's why I do want him to move to 170. Eventually, my biggest criticism of Khabib is, you were great at 155, but imagine what the fights we could have had up at 170. Imagine Khabib Usman, Khabib Covington. So I really do want to see Islam Makhachev move up. Ideally after this, and I don't think there's anything else for him really to do at 155. I think he'd be better moved. I know he could fight other people at the weight, but obviously he could fight Poirier, people like that, Chandler, etc. But I do think, like you say, there is that question mark, but I sort of I suppose in my mind, he almost, like you touched on, he will want to put any doubt to rest. It could work one way where he almost is a little bit nervous and thinks, well, there was a lot of controversy last time. I've got to really shine, which could make him underperform. But because he's such a boring, meticulous fucking, I just don't think he will. I think he'll be all really well prepared and focused, as much as I hate to say it. And
no, absolutely.
If it was, again, if it was someone else, the one thing I will say for Makhachev, because I've just sort of slacked him off, what I was saying about Volkanovski, the balls on him to take the fight on short notice. The Oliveira fight was possibly an easier fight than what this is.
Yes.
So fair play to Makhachev for, you've been phoned up and said Volkanovski's going to step in. You've basically the pound for pound number one who's given you your toughest fight is willing to come in, and Volkanovski is a different fighter to Charles Oliveira. So he is fighting someone who he's prepared for Charles, and he's fighting Volk. Okay, he's fought him before, but so I do give him a huge amount of credit for accepting the fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's gone under the radar. People are more so, like I did, said massive, kahunas on Volkanovski for taking it on short notice, but fair play to Makhachev. But yeah, if there was any element of almost, I don't want to use the word exact, if there was any personality to Makhachev,
anything.
I just don't think he is. I think he's just, I will probably get some stick for it. I just do think, in the fight game, we all love personalities on one side of it. Personalities sell fights. I'll go on record as saying, still, it doesn't matter about the record. Conor McGregor fight week is the biggest fight week in UFC.
Yeah.
Nobody does it bigger and better than Conor McGregor still. All right, he might get beat. It probably will. He isn't the same fighter. And I don't particularly like him as a person all the time. But you were never going to get Islam Makhachev as a personality, like the McGregors, like people who, we do tune in to watch purely based on the personality. He's not going to be on Twitter like Paulo Costa talking about secret juice and that sort of thing. So as much as I hate to say it, while I can totally see some of the things you're saying. And I'm not here going, you're wrong or disagree with like that. I just think Makhachev's going to turn up really well prepared, but mainly it's because he probably doesn't have a social life. So.
Oh gosh. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, the reality is that Islam is a great fighter. You know, he won the first fight regardless on paper against Volk. He'd already faced them before. He knows what to expect. But I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with this one bit is
beautiful, man, beautiful.
Alex is great every match. And you know what clicked? That clicked when I saw Uncle Chael Sutton, and I bring him up again. He mentioned it. He is great every matches. Look at the Max Holloway and how that progressed, right?
Yeah.
He had to fight with Max. He had to fight Max. And then the third, the fourth, like he demolished Max Holloway. Demolished. It was one-sided. I think he becomes so much smarter and stronger when he rematches the same fighter. He improves.
Yeah,
he absolutely does.
I agree, and I think again, I think the short notice plays into it as well. Like we've already said, I totally agree. I think people forget Volk's coming off. Makhachev hasn't fought since the last Volkanovski fight. I don't think it's been mentioned enough since Volk took the fight. He absolutely destroyed Yair Rodriguez in 3 rounds.
And people questioned it. People questioned it. People questioned him fighting Yair Rodriguez. And look, no question.
And I think people sort of don't realize really how good you have to be to knock out Yair Rodriguez inside 3 rounds. So I mean the great thing it's why we love the game. I could be talking to you next week and going, I can't believe it. Fucking Volk pulled it off, and Usman sparked out Khamzat in the first, and like you said, you used the wording earlier on. MMA math, it doesn't exist. There'll be people out there who've got people going, you're crazy for saying so and so will do this. It's UFC, it's MMA.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen? Let's face it. When Sean Strickland walked in against Izzy at a minus 7,800 underdog, Izzy was a minus 7,800 favorite, and what have you. No one was picking. All right, people maybe wanted Strickland to win, but there wasn't many people picking Strickland, and I love Strickland. I think he's mint, but that it's MMA.
Right.
But we'll wrap it up because I'm conscious of time for you as well, and we've been just over an hour. So
but I think this was really good. I think it was really good. It's straight to the point, and we had some pretty great insight. I mean, I think we're able to apply for these jobs at the UFC. Let's get these commentators off. We'll get Ben the Bane Davis. It'll be you and me. We'll get on that table. There we go.
Oh, definitely. I mean, without a doubt. Without a doubt, brother. Yeah, man, it's just been such fun, and I just enjoy talking to people about MMA, and whether one person or 1 million people saw this video, it doesn't matter to me. I've just really enjoyed talking to you, Steve. It's been really good fun to actually meet online and talk in person. We've obviously talked off via the DMs for a long while. So yeah, man, I'm just pumped for tomorrow now, and it's been cool, man, and we'll do it again. I think
absolutely.
To anybody watching this video, we've never talked on camera before, so you can't just create a flow straight off the bat, but I think we've actually managed to actually have a bit of a good flow with it, and I hope anybody who is watching's enjoyed it, and like I say, the talking's over. It's it's on to tomorrow
Oh
and
yeah.
the fights. So I'll leave you to have a wicked afternoon in New York, man. Like I say, it's 9 p.m. here in the UK, so I've had a busy week and I want to be fresh for tomorrow. So
Oh yeah.
I'll probably chat to you a little bit later on DM, and yeah, man, we'll talk as well tomorrow. All right, bro.
All right, man. Thanks a
All
lot.
right,
Good stuff.
anytime, man. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.